All right, fair enough. 15 minutes before the hour. My favorite campus liberal is here, too, and we're going to put him on the air in a moment. And we're live on the Oregon State University campus. The college Republicans are holding a drawing later today. You can buy tickets. I bought my share of tickets for an AR-15. It is Second Amendment week, and it's First Amendment Friday on the Lars Larson Show. Welcome back to the Lars Larson Show. First Amendment Friday live at Oregon State University. Remind everybody what your name is.
Hi, everyone. This is Dan Crall, owner of Corvallis Pedicab, your friendly bicycle taxi driver on the OSU campus.
Now, see, even though he's a liberal, he knows to get the plug in first, and I'm glad to do it because I love a small businessman. So, you and I have sparred before at these events.
About a year ago.
And you asked me what we're talking about. On First Amendment Friday, I don't decide that. You decide that.
Well, you guys were talking about gays in schools earlier and a lot of these other non-issues, kind of like similar to the war on Christmas.
Why is that a non-issue?
Because we've got companies like GE that paid no taxes last year, while people like me, small business people, and you, the working class, are paying out the nose. And yet we're being told by the likes of you that this is a horrible country to do business because they tax you to death. Well, I'd love $14.8 billion in tax breaks. On top of
Hold on. If they made the 14.8 outside the country, why should they be taxed on profits?
Are they not benefiting from America just like everyone else?
Hold on. On the $5 billion that's in this country, the way they managed not to pay taxes was by the laws passed by the Congress, both Democrat Congresses and Republican Congresses. Okay. Most recently, it was for the last couple of years until January, it was a Democrat Congress. Why didn't the Democrat Congress rescind those tax breaks?
Because they're a bunch of wimps. Don't even try to get me to defend the Democrats.
No, but you brought this subject up. I'm going to challenge you on this. Hold on. When the Congress or the legislature passes laws, they say, we will give a tax break for putting weatherization in. We'll give a tax break for solar cells. You know the list. It's as long as the width of this campus, because somebody in the Congress or the legislature said, this is a thing we want to promote. Now, for me, I would get rid of almost all of the government subsidies and breaks and say, if you want to do something
for farmers and for the oil companies as well.
Yes.
How come you guys don't talk about that issue much?
We want to talk about it all the time. I talked about it yesterday.
Okay. Well, I hear constantly from the right how it's the union workers and it's Planned Parenthood that need to be cut. NPR needs to be cut. But there's no talk about cutting military spending, despite being a lot of waste. There's a lot of waste in the Pentagon budget that's been reported in the last week. $80 billion in unaccounted for money in the Pentagon budget. But who's talking about cutting that? Not you.
Hold on. I'm talking about making the military more efficiently. And if you challenged me on that, it was last week with a member of Congress, and I was talking about military savings. But let me ask you something. You mentioned NPR. I compete in the free market. Okay, yeah. The radio stations I work for are capitalist organizations. Give me a reason, and please listen to the question so you get it specifically. What is the reason to have a government-funded radio system?
Now, see, I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I don't believe that NPR necessarily should get federal funding. However, when I look
cut it then?
When I look at a lot of the waste, the way bigger waste, the chicken and potatoes of the meal that need to be cut, like the military spending, like corporate welfare, the real issues, NPR is but a drop in the bucket.
Let's debate that another day, but I'm asking you.
These are real issues.
So you and I agree.
These are real issues, and you're not talking to your listeners about. You're doing them a huge disservice.
Hold on a second.
Speaking on behalf of corporate interests all the time.
I ask you what you wanted to talk about. You want to take issue with what I don't talk about. And for a point of fact, I do talk about those issues. So if you're going to indict me for things, please indict me for things I actually did.
Okay, pardon me for not having listened to all of your shows.
Well, no, but I mean,
I heard today you were talking about gays in schools.
Because
I just wonder, if you look at Congress, just in this last year, where were all the gay sex scandals? In the Republican Party. You guys need to leave the gay issue alone. It's not doing you any favors.
Hold on a second. I don't need your political advice.
Okay, well,
I don't. But let me tell you why.
I know, because you get from inside the bubble.
No. I want to tell you why it's a legitimate issue. A parent brought it up, and I agreed with the parent that when you send your child to school, there should not be organizations there whose sole purpose is to provide a forum for discussion among students.
God forbid they are accepted as real people, too. God forbid.
We're not talking about accepted as real.
That's what it's about. And you want to turn it into a forum
you know what?
of political
You're defining it as something else. No.
Because I know about this issue, and I know
But you don't know my position on the issue, obviously.
I was listening to you talk about it.
No, I'm saying that a parent who says, I don't want my kid going to school with a gay-straight alliance, it doesn't belong there. And I agree with him.
Well, what about students who are gay, who have to hear day in and day out about straight kids' relationships?
Hold on. But this isn't about, we don't have organizations.
No, I'm hearing hisses from the crowd. Hold on. You're treating them as if they're second-class citizens. I resent that.
You know, you're not going to get anywhere because you won't discuss the issue.
Okay, ask your question.
Well, here's the problem. We're less than a minute away.
What's the problem with commercial radio?
No, it's not.
commercial
NPR
radio.
runs commercials as
I know,
well.
and that's their downfall. They should be catering
Who
to the
should
people.
pay for it?
The people. That's
Okay?
where actually most
I
of the
would
funding
cut
comes
them
from.
off in a heartbeat and let them exist on their own. I don't care.
And you know,
I would cut the Pentagon. There are executives who badmouth Jews and badmouth other people and badmouth conservatives think they can exist without it.
And
I'm happy
the
to
Republican
do that.
Congress never badmouths anybody.
Do you think that
never.
a parent should have the right to say, I don't want my kid exposed to this? And at that point, I got to say thanks for stopping by. You wasted all the time. But
send them
3
to
minutes before.
It's
3 minutes before the hour, and you're listening to the Lars Larson Show live from the Oregon State University campus on First Amendment Friday.
Them are owned by conservatives.
MSNBC?
They are not liberal. They are liberal.
They're
right.
not?
They're wimps.
Okay, CNN. Is CNN liberal?
CNN is a piece of crap.
Well, it is a piece of crap, but is it liberal?
No.
Is it conservative?
I would say it slants more conservative, yes.
CNN?
Big business.
Okay, now we have an
big
idea of where
businesses.
you're coming from. If you think CNN is conservative, I have an idea of where you're
They're
coming
inaccurate
from.
corporate like news.
Okay, then tell me this. If you're basing that opinion on seeing something else that's accurate standard, to know that something is out of line, you have to have a standard to say this is what straight ahead news is. What do you consider straight, unbiased news?
It's very hard to find. I will admit that's
Well, then how do you
extremely
know
hard
the stuff you're listening to?
A lot of times I like to do the investigations for myself. For instance, with the college Republicans this week,
Yes.
I've had a chance to talk to some of them and see where they're coming from. One great quote I heard this week was, "The United States should take the world's oil while we still have the military might."
That's not my point.
It's ignorant thinking like that that's got America at such a low standing.
But hold on a second.
I'm tired of it.
When you talk about
I'm a proud American, that's a disgrace to say, but it's a disgrace.
Tell me something. When you talk about slant, do you think that represents the mainstream of conservative thought? Because I don't hear that from the majority of conservatives.
It's hard to say what conservative thought is, because nowadays I think that the term conservative, you think about the
But you
root word
just
of that.
changed you changed the subject. I asked you a question.
I'm telling you, what is the conservative's a very loaded term nowadays.
No, but you used it.
By that I mean contemporary conservative.
I know, but I asked you, do you think the point of view of seizing the world's oil is the point of view of the majority of conservatives in America?
Quote unquote conservative, yes. Real conservatives like myself, hell no.
I got a break. Tell everybody your name and the pedicab.
I'm Dan Crall, owner of Corvallis Pedicab. Would love to give you a ride, and would love to encourage all of you listening to think for yourself. Don't listen to the big media. They're just trying to lie to you and take your money.
Dan, thank you very much for an alternate point of view. You've got the Lars Larson Show live at OS.